Well, TC, it is no secret that I am Bucks County Casino, which is the number one casino in all of Pennsylvania, which happens to be in my native Bucks County. They've got it all. World-class entertainers at the Excite Center. They've got the open-air Liberty Bell, your favorite three things: beer, steak, and noodles.
That is absolutely fantastic. Any day of the week.
Just a few of the outstanding restaurants, action, excitement, live entertainment. It's a destination. It's Parks Casino. Time now for the headlines from Smerconish.com, the newsletter. I'm surprised by the leak. I'm not surprised by the outcome. Surprised by the leak, not surprised by the outcome. I am not shocked that the Supreme Court of the United States, given its composition, is poised to overturn Roe versus Wade. But as far as I know, and I've been paying close attention for 30 years, I'm an attorney, there's never been a breach of confidentiality like this in the history of the Supreme Court. Have there been smaller leaks? Yeah. But the idea that you can go to Smerconish.com today and see the link from Politico, not only of the Josh Gerstein and Alexander Ward story that broke the news, but also read the draft opinion? No, never anything like that before. And I know that in some quarters today, they would rather talk only about the leak than the substance. That's not where I'm coming from. But my gut was really to say what I've just said to all of you. I can't believe the Alito opinion draft. It could change. Votes could flip. I doubt it. But the idea that it's out there for analysis is just jaw-dropping to me. The coverage from Politico: the Supreme Court has voted to strike down the landmark Roe versus Wade decision according to an initial draft majority opinion written by Justice Samuel Alito, circulated inside the court and obtained by Politico. The draft opinion is a full-throated, unflinching repudiation of the 1973 decision, which guarantees federal constitutional protections of abortion rights, and a subsequent 1992 decision, Planned Parenthood versus Casey, that largely maintained the right. Roe was egregiously wrong from the start, Alito wrote. We hold that Roe and Casey must be overruled. It's time to heed the Constitution and return the issue of abortion to the people's elected representatives. So remember what the practical impact of this might be, which is it's now going to be up to if it happens. Again, all the caveats, right? This is not final. We're going to have to wait until June to see what happens. Maybe votes change. Again, I doubt it. But what is the net impact if this is true? It means that it'll be up to the states. It will end, as Politico reports, a half-century guarantee of federal constitutional protection of abortion rights and allow each state to decide whether to restrict or ban abortion. So, look at that map that we used in the thumbnail.
Well, I was going to say the thumbnail looked terrific online.
We should explain what a thumbnail is. I guess.
So when we do you're listening to us on either YouTube live or radio. And when we do this, there's a thumbnail, meaning like a little snapshot that leads the video on YouTube live. So you can go to YouTube right now and see that thumbnail. And it's a map saying where this will be most affected. What will happen if Roe v. Wade is overturned? What will happen in each state? Is that a good way of saying it?
Yeah. I mean, some have already taken action. Others are now poised to. Here's something to keep an eye on today: the governors of different states and what they are saying. I mean, is there going to be a fundamental change in California? No, there's not going to be a change in California. Is there going to be a change in Alabama? Yes. There's going to be a change in Alabama.
Well, interestingly, Michael, a young person close to me, a young woman, say 24 years old-ish.
Who might that be?
No names.
Right.
Asked me this morning, woke up very early this morning, did what I did, went to bed thinking of the Met Gala and the Sixers game and woke up to a buzzsaw.
Right.
And she said to me, you're my reality check. Is this what people really want? I thought that was a really interesting question coming from someone who knows she's in a Northeast bubble.
The answer to this hypothetical person in my view, would have been, it is what some people want.
That's what I said. I said many.
I've seen the polling, and frankly, it's a third plus who wanted it overturned. The last data that I saw, and it was a CNN analysis, said that like 52% didn't want to change. But here's the thing.
But that's what you just said. That's half.
Yeah, look at the map. Look at the map on my website, YouTube, everything, and it's color coded for you. In fact, I'll list the states in a moment. I'll list the states because I have notes in front of me on exactly this issue. So people will get what they want, but the people who live in those states who disagree with the majority, they're the ones who are out of luck. If you are someone who believes in abortion rights and you live in one of those states that's now shaded in the so-called thumbnail, you're the one who's not protected. I'm interested in what Politico says about where they got this information. Oh, I should tell you one other thing in terms of the stacking of the court. No surprise here. Clarence Thomas, Neil Gorsuch, Brett Kavanaugh, Amy Coney Barrett. Oh my God. Do elections have consequences? Am I not the guy every 4 years who says, besides being the commander-in-chief, this is the most important responsibility of a president, to single-handedly select members of the federal bench, and not just the Supreme Court, not just the 9. The appellate court is where the real action is. But for Donald Trump and 3 picks, this doesn't happen. By the way, to the mythical young person in TC's life, that'll be read 2 ways. I mean, will people who today, because they've already put up fences around the Supreme Court, they're the livid ones, will they want to hold Donald Trump and Republicans accountable? How could this happen? There are plenty of other people saying, thank God for Donald Trump. Thank you, Mr. Trump. Thank you, President Trump.
Exactly.
It's because of you.
Exactly.
That this finally is happening.
Big country.
Breyer, Sonia Sotomayor, Elena Kagan, working on one or more dissents. Now, this is interesting from Politico. How Chief Justice John Roberts will ultimately vote and whether he will join an already written opinion or draft his own, unclear. But won't matter. Won't matter if the 5 stick together. The document that Politico has obtained, read it at Smerconish.com. All of our major headlines at Smerconish.com are about the fallout from this huge story. It's labeled as a first draft of the majority opinion. It includes a notation that it was circulated among the justices on February 10. If the Alito draft is adopted, it would rule in favor of Mississippi in the closely watched case over that state's attempt to ban most abortions after 15 weeks of pregnancy. Hey, an option for the court here was to uphold Mississippi and try to hang on to Roe. That's apparently not what they're doing. Remember, that would have been hard because the premise of was viability. 15 weeks is not viability. So I kind of understand how they said maybe we can't uphold Roe and somehow pass Mississippi. So instead, the solution is get rid of Roe. Politico, what are they saying about where they got the story? Politico received a copy of the draft opinion from a person, TC, familiar with the court's proceedings in the Mississippi case, along with other details supporting the authenticity of the document.
Okay, so what does that mean? Translate that. What do you think?
I think it's a clerk for one of the aforementioned liberal justices.
And in all of this time,
by the way, just
saying out, yeah, but in all of this modern time, that could have just happened. In other words, anyone could have just leaked anything. It's extraordinary that it's now.
It is such a breach. It is such a breach of confidentiality in the court. I mean, it is really.
Okay, will they ever know? Will it come out?
Yeah, you know why? Because somebody will write a book.
Oh, yeah.
Probably the person who
Anonymous.
did it.
Right.
Yeah, or not. Okay, so the survey question at Smerconish.com today, and I have to tell you, I was already thinking in these terms before this happened. But now I'm asking, where the Democrats, the Biden administration, have incumbent status against them because the party outside the White House in a midterm election already picks up seats. Now throw in inflation at a 40-year high. Now throw in the looming issue of border control because of Title 42. Now throw in crime. Read that Ron Brownstein piece from The Atlantic at Smerconish.com. Is this enough to turn the tide, to reverse the momentum that is on the side of Republicans? Here's the survey question today at Smerconish.com. Will reaction to Roe versus Wade provide Democrats with enough political momentum to fend off Republican gains in the midterms? Is this going to do it? That's the question that I'm asking. Try not to answer in the vacuum of emotion today based on the story. Instead, think about how, okay, there's a big revelation today. The opinion comes in June. Then you've got the whole summer. You've got the whole summer, and in this news cycle, so much will happen. But is this, politically speaking, sorry now to have a crass political conversation, but will this be enough to turn the tide for Democrats to reverse momentum that is heretofore entirely on the Republican side of the equation? Remember, recently, Elizabeth Warren had an op-ed. Hers was, I guess, in the New York Times, and she said, we got to get something done. We have got to pass some of these initiatives while we're still in control of the House, the Senate, 50-50, but with Kamala Harris, Vice President Harris, and the White House. Otherwise, we're dead. I'm paraphrasing. Then came Karl Rove in the Wall Street Journal, and he said, please, Democrats, do everything Elizabeth Warren wants, because then it'll guarantee Republicans. I said yesterday on air, if you want an indication of just how big of a climb D's have, look at the fact that President Biden, I think I just said Biden, President Biden has just 46% approval, wait for it, in Massachusetts. He is so far underwater that even in Massachusetts, his approval is at 46%. Among independent voters, that's the largest voting bloc in Massachusetts, 39% approve. 39% approve. According to the Center for Reproductive Rights, final word for now on this abortion issue. This is a group that fights abortion. They fight against abortion restrictions. There are 24 states likely to ban abortion if allowed. Here they come in alphabetical order: Alabama, Arizona, Arkansas, Georgia, Idaho, Indiana, Kentucky, Louisiana, Michigan, Mississippi, Missouri, Nebraska, North Carolina, North Dakota, Ohio, Oklahoma, Pennsylvania, South Carolina, South Dakota, Tennessee, Texas, Utah, West Virginia, and Wisconsin. The Guttmacher Institute, which is a research group that focuses on reproductive health care, says a slightly different group of states is likely to substantially limit abortion access. Its list of 26 states excludes North Carolina and Pennsylvania, but includes Florida, Iowa, Montana, and Wyoming. So those who've been studying the issue and looking at the states in anticipation of this day, or the day that will come in June, they can't make up their mind on exactly what the states are, but somewhere around half the states. Okay, there's that. There's also this. Israel outraged at Sergei Lavrov's claim that Hitler was Jewish. Sergei Lavrov made the comments to try to justify Russia's portrayal of Ukraine as a Nazi state. He made the remarks in an interview on Italian TV when asked how Russia can claim that it's fighting to denazify Ukraine. When Zelensky is himself Jewish, Lavrov said, I could be wrong. This sounds like people tell me. I could be wrong, but Hitler also had Jewish blood. Israeli Prime Minister Naftali Bennett, such lies are meant to blame the Jews themselves for the most terrible crimes in history and thus free the oppressors of the Jews from their responsibility. No war today is the Holocaust, or is it like the Holocaust? He said that the words were unforgivable and false. The issue's been studied and false. A lot of controversy surrounding the Harvard Crimson today, where they broke with their own precedent and came out in support of the BDS, boycott, divest, and sanction movement and a so-called Free Palestine movement. Palestinians, in our board's view, deserve dignity and freedom. We support the boycott, divest, and sanction movement as a means to achieving that goal. A lot of blowback against members of the editorial board, including Orly Marini Rappaport, who tweeted, "I'm the editorial chair. I'm also Jewish." Yesterday, the board overturned a decades-old precedent. For the first time, we announced our support of BDS. I encourage you to read our editorial. I'm so proud to be part of this thoughtful group. Now she's subject to a lot of very nasty online social media reaction. Federal judge, this is the Washington Post story today. Federal judge has issued a potentially very significant ruling relative to the January 6th committee, turning aside the Republican National Committee claims that the investigation is improperly constructed and doesn't serve a valid legislative purpose. Translate, Michael. Okay. The RNC tried to throw a monkey wrench in the way of the January 6th commission, and they were unsuccessful. But keep your eye on the clock, because Democrats have got to finish this investigation. If Republicans take back the House, and they probably will, unless abortion rallies the Ds, then this investigation comes to a grinding halt. I would also say, take a look at the Atlanta Journal-Constitution coverage today pertaining to a grand jury being a special grand jury being impaneled in Fulton County, Georgia, to take a look at Donald Trump and the whole, perfect phone call of January 2, 2021, Brad Raffensperger. Can you find me 12,000 votes? The takeaway on this is that I've often spoken of how former President Trump, faces potential legal peril where? From the Southern District of New York, the Manhattan DA, the Attorney General of New York. Could it be that where he really gets charged is Georgia for the Raffensperger phone call? Maybe. And finally, TC, you and I both commented yesterday how grateful we were to have my old friend, an LGBTQ activist named Malcolm Lazin, on yesterday's program telling the story of Dr. Henry Anonymous. How pleased was I today to open up the New York Times print edition and see this enormous coverage of this story.
That's the picture you tweeted yesterday when Malcolm was on the program.
Right.
That's incredible.
And what is the story? The story is about how in 1972, a psychiatrist, you could not be openly gay and a psychiatrist in 1972.
In 1972.
You would lose your license.
That's crazy.
This guy, and we of course know who he is, and you got to read the whole story. Wow. It's posted at Smerconish.com, shows up in a mask and at a professional meeting says, "I'm gay and I'm a psychiatrist."
Well,
and the DSM thereafter changed.
To date it, he says, "I am a homosexual." That was the term that he used then, which I thought was also so interesting.
His name, by the way, Dr. John Fryer. Dr. John Fryer. Yeah, remarkable to think that. And Malcolm told the story so well here yesterday, and I was so happy to have him do so. But the idea, and the funny thing was, yesterday I said to Malcolm, Malcolm, people who are tuning into the program right now midstream may think we're telling a story from the 30s or 40s. Do you remember what his answer was?
I think he said something about it sounds like the Middle Ages.
He said it sounds more like the Middle Ages.
Right. And 1972.
I'm kind of shocked there's not been a movie. Apparently no video exists, but
he said there was audio.
Yeah. I'm shocked that this is not. Yeah. If it is a movie, it's unknown to me.
No, I don't think so, because I think we would have known in the build up to this.
Right.
That is unbelievable.
So that too is at Smerconish.com. Oh, yesterday's survey results. Disinformation Governance Board. Bad name, bad idea, both or neither. Both 42% plurality. Bad name 27%. Neither 22%. In other words, only 22% said it's neither a bad name nor a bad idea. Only, let's say, a fifth of those who voted, 8,981, like the idea. That ought to tell the administration something. Of course, today, will reaction to Roe versus Wade provide Democrats with enough political momentum to fend off Republican gains in the midterms? On a day like today, you need to be subscribed to Smerconish.com, the newsletter. Please do that if you're not already subscribed. And watch our daily presentation of the Smerconish.com headlines on YouTube.